Let me just recap us.
Adair. What about Dad?
Okay. All right.
What a...
Jen.
What about Dad?
Welcome back to What About Dad?
TV recap and review.
I'm Adair.
I'm Jen.
Tonight on the podcast, we'll be discussing Charmed, Episode 4, Exercise Your Demons. But before we get into it, we want to discuss the business of the day.
We just want to announce our brand new Podbean. For $1, you too can become a little mini producer
Bling, bling,
of
bling,
the show.
bling, bling, bling. Yes.
If you like the podcast, feel free to follow us on Twitter, shoot on over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Maybe write a review. Little love goes a long way towards growing the cast.
It really does. It takes a village to raise a child. And this is our baby. So help us, village. Help us. If you are new to the cast, hello. ¿Cómo estás? How goes it? You can tune in to us on iTunes, Spotify, Player FM, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, Listen Notes, and Podbean. We even have a bunch of fun stuff going on over at YouTube. And if you feel like sliding over Twitter, like Jen said, feel free. We always like to hear from you.
Once again, thank you all for the love and support. We really been feeling it online. Putting this little cast together has been a real labor of love, and we would like to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just so happy. Anyways, and now, Charmed.
The Witching Hour.
This is one of my favorite parts of the cast where we get to hear Jen's dramatic synopsis reading. Jen, take it away.
We open this episode with a flashback. All exposition. Angela Wu was a sexual assault survivor who reported her professor and started a witch hunt, which was fought in both the pedestrian world and the supernatural realm. The sisters are now harboring the demon-possessed Angela Wu in their attic as they await news from the elders on how to deal with their newfound crisis.
Conflict of the week.
So, what do you got for us, Jen?
The Charmed Ones must kill Angela Wu, aka the Harbinger, or risk bringing upon the end of days.
Not the end of days, Lord, not the end of days. I love Angela Wu. Let's get into these characters, guys. I'm really feeling this show right now. I don't know, I am excited for it. So let's talk about Nico and her partner. Did we ever get his name? His
name is Trip. And if you said their names together, Nico and Trip, it sounds like a Disney movie with a small dog, Labrador Retriever, trying to find his way home.
It really does. It really does. It really, really does. That's like Homeward Bound, except
Nico is the most overworked campus police I've ever seen in my life.
Is she even campus police? I think she's just in general police.
She's been investigating 3 deaths on the university campus. Do we know the name of this university? I don't think I know the name.
To be fair, I'm sure they've said it like once or twice when they were talking about the professor who's all creepy, but I wasn't paying attention. All right. Okay. So they are investigating these deaths. Like, how crazy is, this for them? They're just like, why are these children dying? What is happening in our life? And then also Angela's missing, which I think is good that they have people who are like, the girl's been in a coma for months, and now, surprise, she's here. So,
well, they had a line in passing where they explained it as, she's been in a coma, she's fragile, right? But her mother has created a missing persons report, and that's why they're looking for her, because she's been missing, and Angela Wu's mother is worried. So I like that they gave her enough of a backstory. They gave her some family, and in one line, I'm already worried about her mother.
Right?
I'm like, Miss Wu. She's probably very
upset. And Jen always worries about the mothers. Like I said, lock up your moms. I like the fact that the partner, Nico's like, look, they have nothing to do with it. yes, all these, they were having the party here. Fine. But they don't know Nico. Like, it's all good. Or they don't know Angela. And the partner's like, right. Okay. Cool. Now, I liked the partner because, obviously he wasn't wrong.
His name is Trip.
Trip.
Nico and Trip.
Oh, God. Somebody quick, write draw some art for that Disney film, Nico and Trip. But yeah, no, I mean, Trip was like right, at the end of the day, but I wasn't feeling how Trip went about his investigative story. Like, I get like, oh, maybe you're a little too close invested. Also, why is Nico on the case of her girlfriend? Like, if normally isn't like if a cop has to deal with a family member or like their significant other is involved with some type of crime, possibly they get another police officer to talk to them because bias.
Well, I think Trip is suspicious of the party that they had thrown where Angela Wu went missing, because that was the last place she had been seen alive. And I got the feeling that he didn't necessarily outrank Nico. He like wasn't the senior cop. I felt like his suspicion was in its budding stages and hadn't quite grown to full-blown investigation. But I agree with you. If Nico had some relationship, which he does, to Mel, and they were investigating the party, the house, she should have been taken off the case. I agree with you. That just seems really unprofessional.
It's super unprofessional that she's always there. My thing is like this, too. I think that he like knew, or he was suspicious of the girls, not just because it was the party there, because it's different if like, oh, the party was there, what's going on? But then he was following them in the car and watching them. So he was literally tailing the girls, thinking something was up with them. It'd be different if it was like just the event or the house or whatever. They could be asking all kinds of other people questions, but really we just see him following them.
I feel like they do a good job, this show, keeping Nico in the loop every week. She seems to be a large part of this, the world, in a way where she's never like, it's like you can't explain her away. She's always been invested in this investigation since day one. So I like that they keep her really involved, even if it doesn't always make ethical sense to be working on the case.
I really, I know that you had predicted a long time ago that Nico would be the first one to kind of find out. And now I really believe that that's the case. And I'm kind of hoping it happens soon, because it would be very pointless to have this character. Because I know in the next episode coming up that Mel's discussing wiping Nico's memory of her and releasing her and be like, well, if we never met, then she's safe kind of situation. And to me, if that happens, then what's the point of even having Nico around? So I feel like maybe they should tell her so that they can start, like I said, she's the Daryl, the Kevin, or whatever his name is, of the old version. They need that cop help to kind of push papers and move stuff around. I think that this is going to be the time, because the one thing I've noticed about this reboot and this particular version of Charmed, they are moving very quickly on, they're moving very quickly with like getting stuff just
set up.
Front. Like
their
boom,
setup is very quick. Actually, I was just talking about that off cast. I was saying like how it felt like that they went through half of like Winona Earp's season in 3 episodes, the first 3 episodes. We have a very similar situation where you have this end of the world crisis, and now in episode 4 it's kind of resolved by the end of this episode, where this harbinger is going to bring about the end of days. And we've seen that a lot, but usually that it's finale language, and we're getting that in episode 4. So it's interesting because it's kind of like when you start up with when you go into a series and then the stakes are the end of the world, where do you go from there? So,
Well, I mean, I also think that it's kind of going quickly because even the original, I think there's so many people who know the original that they're like, all right, we don't have to explain too much about the world. Let's just get on with the demons. Kind of like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. Nobody cares about the story of Jurassic World. We just want to get there and see people get eaten by dinosaurs. So like, just cut the fat and get to the point. But yeah, I think I think Nico's going to have a lot to to do with the next coming up few episodes. I think she's really actually quite important.
I think whether she has her memory wiped or not, she can function even more efficiently on this investigation and really go after Mel, on a level that she wouldn't have, being emotionally vested. So that would be really interesting to see played. So we get like a little bit, 4 episodes of Nico and Mal being lovey-dovey, which we didn't really get too much, but we get an understanding of what that relationship is. It seems endgame. But to see Nico be someone who doesn't know Mal and go after Mal, that would be a whole other side of this character. That'd be really interesting to see.
That'd be really cool to see. And also, or even like the idea of like, if Nico doesn't remember her and she still keeps getting put in the fold of like the demons and stuff, and then she figures that on her own, and then later goes, oh, we put a spell on you, so like maybe that too. But I think it'd be fun to play that kind of that dissonance. Now, let's talk about good characters' arrival and just like smartness while they're being investigated. Charity, Callahan.
Charity Callahan
yeah. Shows up as her, a very DIY, like, interior decorator, shows up in her fabulous, white outfit, and it's like, oh, darling, the upstairs. And I was like, as soon as I saw that entrance, I was like, I like her. What were your thoughts
on Charity?
Charity?
I enjoyed. I wasn't expecting her, so I thought they did a really good job creating the beat where Nico and Trip starts to push the girls. They're being interrogated. It's getting to be a little too. It's getting a little out of hand and uncomfortable for Nico sitting there in the room, and then bam, you have this entrance of this grand wizard, elder, priestess, sorceress lady, and she has a great name. Let's just start with the exteriors. She has a great name. She provides the perfect like alias to the girls. So she immediately allies herself. And one of the things I think that's most fascinating about Charity Callahan is that she's like one of the few adults on the show where it feels like she's one of the few people outside of Harry who can really give these girls some perspective of what it means to be a witch. And she also has an interesting history where she knows who Marisol was, and she knows who Marisol was as a witch,
Yeah, exactly. I actually like the fact that they have this kind of past of her, the big thing that we got, the reveal, was that, Charity did the spell or gave their mother the spell to erase her pain of giving up Macy, and she goes, I didn't know what it was at the time, but now I know 100%, and they were close. You can tell she was close to their mother. You can tell that there was a connection. It's not just like blowing smoke up their ass. It's like, no, I knew her in a different way. I knew her at her witch self, which I think is going to be really
I think one of the things you discover is that the elders are in a lot more peril than we first thought, because there are 3 dead. So she's coming to the girls, perhaps presenting herself at not the most opportune time, where she's actually kind of out of power right now. She's the equivalent of their royalty, but she is very much so on the run, if you will, or trying to stop something terrible from happening to herself. She's in danger. She needs help. So I thought that was interesting. I would like to know more about her powers. The power to mute people was pretty funny and effectively used to mute Mel, who was not listening to someone who perhaps had some guidance for her. And I think that Charity gives us a bridge into this supernatural world and will help us to understand the rules, because the girls don't understand the rules, and they've been listening to Harry to an extent, but Charity, given her past with the girl's mother, kind of just, like I said, gives everything else a whole nother emotional layer to unbox.
Yeah, it really does. I also like her relationship with Harry. Like, what's that about? There's clearly a past there. I mean, she's the attractive one, and as they called her, the Olivia Pope of the witching world, and I love that. And she's playing that gray side, and I don't know if Harry knows about that gray side yet, but it's really interesting. Like, as an elder, speaking of kind of going ahead, where she covers up that Trip has died in this, because he was a little too nosy for his own good, and he dies, and you think, oh well, she doesn't know him. She doesn't know that he's trying to help, or is like worried and actually doing his job. And the way she makes him, or passes this death off as saying he was the killer and he was suicidal, it's like, we as humans know that's the worst. Like, wow, that's terrible, and it's like, what makes her not
she's out of touch, she's out of step,
out of touch. Yeah. You had something really great about, like, the elders that you were talking about?
Yeah, the elders are like Greek gods. They have all power, but also seem a step out of touch with humanity. So they would kill Angela Wu rather than explore other options. And so that seems to be something we see with her and Trip when she makes the decision to cover up Trip's murder. And she does so in a seemingly callous way without sensing how that would affect the humanity of the charmed ones.
Yeah, it's a little bit wild, and we all know it's going to affect Mel.
Yeah.
And I was telling Jen that this, kind of moving on to Mel, is interesting because right now she's kind of being framed as like the main witch, which I would love to see a little bit more of the story kind of initially involve the other girls, but I think because she's such an active and off the cuff character that she makes herself more present. Right now she's being, they were investigated by Nico, her girlfriend. Charity kills Nico's partner, who Mel's gonna have to deal with. There's a lot of these things kind of swirl more around Mel's world than Maggie or Macy, and I find that interesting. But this episode, it's like, we find out a lot about Mel. She's the one who pushed Angela to go and fight, and get justice, which I found kind of interesting. What do you think about kind of even just that moment?
Well, with each girl, I always like to look at what they're doing and try to understand what their weekly conflict is. I agree with you. Mel is living in storyline A. She's got multiple conflicts going every week, which makes her interesting. She's also interesting because she's extremely active. She's not a passive character. Pretty much all the conflict is being driven and written through her. So you have, the notion that she's going to have to kill Angela Wu, and this really doesn't sit well with her. Mal believes it's something her mother would never condone, and it doesn't seem true to who her mother was or the memory of that, even as she's learning that her mother was seemingly a powerful witch. I think what makes this even more complicated is if you take a step back, Mal is actually Angela Wu's teacher. She wasn't her. I think she's like she's like a student
TA
teacher.
TA.
Yeah. She's a mentor.
Yeah.
She had a teacher-student relationship with Angela Wu, and I think that because we got a few scenes back between her and Angela in both the flashback and a few episodes showing the two interacting, makes it a lot harder to kill your student, especially a student who really admired your mother and you. So I think that's where I think to a point Mel is affected by her mother and what her mother would have done, but also to a point as maybe the mentor figure, who helped bring Angela Wu to a place where she felt empowered enough to bring her harassment before the school. So I think those are two conflicts that are really easy that you see Mel struggling with, and they amass into these severe choices she makes that you and I maybe wouldn't make. If I had the Harbinger of Doom in my fucking attic, the Harbinger was so deadly, if you touched it, it would kill you, I would not think to put it in my trunk. That's just not like where you put Harbingers of Doom,
I mean, clearly not where I would put a Harbinger of Doom. I'm actually really interested in the idea that, like a few things with Mel and kind of leading that, this episode. She does not take the time to make sure Nico and Trip are out of the way. And I think this is the first time we see that lesson being important. I think this is the first and last time, that she's going to kind of poo-poo it away. I think that Maggie had to learn. She saw what happened and was like, oh, this guy's here. Let me get him out. And even though that might have been something different with kissing him or whatever, but she said, you gotta go, and if Mel is a guilty worrywart, she's going to carry that guilt to Tripp's death pretty much until Nico finds out that's what happened, about what really happened, or if she makes it right. Because at the end of the day, they told her, make sure the partner and Nico are out of the way, and she kind of thought it was secondary. Oh, they're fine. They're not going to do anything. She was right about Nico. Nico didn't care, but she didn't really take into account.
I really like the way they're building up Mal. Maybe this is really actually a part of some major character development that they're doing, which seems so well thought out if this is the direction they're going in. An episode ago, we had Mel using a really dangerous spell and getting away with it, and learning kind of like a surface level lesson, about magic.
And I talked about wanting to see consequences in this episode.
It's crazy because, you're right. You talked about it. Maggie got a little pimple. Macy, was incapacitated, or Macy's has a respect for magic as a scientist or somebody who dabbles with recipes for science all the time, recipe and alchemy. I feel that Mal, even though she claimed to have recognized that respect, still failed to have to deal with any consequences. And now we have a situation where Mal is maybe 3 or 4 steps ahead of Lena Luthor, in that her actions had consequences with the death of Tripp. She doesn't directly have his death on her hands. She indirectly does, though. And I thought that was such a heavy thing because, I was wondering at the very beginning how they had Nico and Mal together as a couple. I was like, Nico loves Mal blindly. What is it going to be that comes between them? And at first we thought it was the rage, but it's actually going to be the headstrong nature, the running into battle without a plan, the impulsiveness of this character who's already getting people killed. Thing about Tripp is he was like a bookmark. Tripp was literally in no episode until he was in the one he died in. He was a Union Extra day player. They did just enough to make us care, but him dying, I still didn't really kind of feel it because we never saw Tripp with Nico doing much else in the other episodes, so it didn't feel like they were really had a partnership. So maybe that's the one thing, the fact that Tripp wasn't as developed as a character, Mal could inadvertently kill him and it have less of a consequence. Maybe that's the one thing that keeps her and Nico maybe going strong.
Well, I think the reason why he was even there ultimately, because like we were saying, much like in Supergirl this last episode, they killed a character, a female, to elevate this guy's emotional arc and story. Honestly, it's kind of the same thing. This guy, he was just there to
elevate Nico's
elevate
and Mel's drama.
Nico's and Mel's, and also making that whole I have a big secret now even more apparent, and it was a catalyst. So it is what it is. But the one thing I really appreciated, too, that we saw in this episode, because, Mel's pursuing saving Angela, was the Santeria spells. We finally got our first kind of Latin magic, and it was hidden. It was only for the girls. It's only for the charm ones. It went against all the corporate and, the higher-ups, which I thought was really interesting. So I was here for it. What do you think about kind of like that introduction?
I loved that. I was like, the world is full of religion, old religion, polytheism. I'm glad we're exploring it. I love the Santeria stuff. I love the spell. I love that their mother left it and cloaked it for them. And that the mother clearly foresaw the witch hunt even before she had foresight. We learned that about the mother.
Discernment.
She had the power of prophecy. She had the Alyssa Milano power. Yeah, and I wonder, actually, here's a thought. I wonder if we're going to see anybody else in the show with that power pop up down the line. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, because that's like one of the original charm powers that isn't actually active. Or maybe someone gets it. Maybe Maggie.
Maybe it might be Maggie. Yeah. Just because she already has empathy. But let's go to our segment real quick. Taking a break from our character development of Wardrobe of the Week. Charity, madam. She had the best wardrobe this episode. She just showed up, like we said, Olivia Pope status. She's wearing that white hat. Not an actual white hat, for those of you who don't know. It's just a reference. Anyways, that high bitch elder. I love her. I do. This high-collared, Hillary Clinton-esque power suit. Jen, I know you love a good power suit.
I love a good power suit.
I mean, who doesn't love a good power suit? You know, that you wear when you're, what is it, when you're sipping top shelf lady bourbon and, you know, whilst checking your company's stocks and telling your busboy to get the groceries out of the back.
I feel like Charity Callahan, like, could wear her power suit with Rhea and Lillian Luther and Lena Luther and, you know, like, oh,
and Kate. I could even see a Kate and Mercedes. I want all of them to be like
and
together.
Kate, all of the bitches in high power Hillary Clinton-esque power suits, everyone in sipping bourbon and talking about like this week's stocks.
Yeah, no, I'm stocks and like who
join the power suit club.
Yeah.
Charity Callahan. Charity Callahan is a card carrying member of the white collar Hillary Clinton-esque power suit pant. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I see it. I feel like
card carrying member.
Right.
Yes. Okay. All right, that was good. I felt good about that.
But that's our Wardrobe of the Week. So getting back to our characters, we have our two ladies. We have Maggie. Let's talk about Maggie for a bit.
Maggie, oh my God, girl.
Girl, you start off.
Girl, you are in danger of flunking out of college your freshman year. You literally finished high school and you're already off to a terrible start. You know, like, she's struggling with world literature. They're reading Dante's Inferno, the Divine Comedy, Paradise Lost. And it seems to go hand in hand with what the world is. And I feel like Maggie's issues this week, her conflict of the week, is like, it should be lady bros before hoes. Because, like, her main conflict is that she's failing school, and oh my God, all she has to do is study with Lucy from Kappa's hot boyfriend so she can get a passing grade without kissing him. All she has to do is literally go through the night and study with him, do some reading, and just not kiss him. Because Lucy from Kappa did nothing but help her pledge to get into the sorority. Lucy from Kappa, she's got her back, you know, and did her a solid. Lucy from Kappa allowed her to join and pledge and made all these extensions of the rules when she was acting weird. She had all that magic she was trying to freaking control / understand, learn when that first became evident that she was a charmed one and nobody would accept her. Lucy from Kappa was there for her. Kappa witch all the way. I'm a hashtag Kappa witch. Launch the ship. Like, how could you betray?
For those of you who don't know,
betray her like
all
that.
About the Kappa witch.
Kappa witch.
Hashtag Kappa witch. Lucy. And
don't be
Maggie,
a Kappa witch, Maggie. Don't be basic like that. This boy, he isn't even that cute. He's like really, really not. He's like a poor man's Joshua Jackson from, like the CW show Dawson's Creek.
You know, interesting enough to me, this episode, Maggie she wasn't as prevalent, and I thought that was really interesting. She had that whole internally battling, like, am I as powerful as them? I'm not as cool as them.
Okay, time out.
And we've already gone to
If you're flunking, like, math, and your dear friend is like, hey, you want to borrow my hot person to study because they're, like, great at it, right? And you're like, sure, that'd be great. Do you think you could find it within yourself not to make out with that person?
Yeah.
It's not that hard, right?
No, it's not that hard. Even if I like
Yeah, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll flirt the crap out of him. I'll flirt all day. But, no, I'm not going to do anything because that's
It's called
not my person.
self-control, Maggie.
It's also not being an asshole.
Yeah.
Or just know if you do have a connection with that person, how about not study with them? It's called YouTube or Google. Any of those will work.
Yeah, it's not hard. Like, there's plenty of fish in the sea, Maggie. Why do we gotta do this wrong to your Lucy? I'm sorry. I'm very upset about this.
I know. Jen, it's okay. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna mosey on. We're gonna move on to the other.
If it was me and Lillian Luther,
Oh,
and she was really good at technology and computer science, and you were failing, and I was like, "Hey, Lillian, you want to help out Adair?" Would you go behind my back like that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's Lena Luther.
I didn't say Lena Luther. I said Lillian.
Oh, Lillian? Oh, no, I wouldn't, because I know how much you love.
I never said Lena. Lena.
Oh, I thought you said Lena.
No,
oh,
I was like, if it's me and Lillian Luther, and you need some help with computers, I don't know.
Oh,
rebooting,
yeah, no.
Starting it up.
I'm good on Lillian. Lena, you're on your own. But Lillian, no, you can have it. Okay, so
Why
let's
go
get to
for the
Macy.
young buck when you can have
the seasoned meats? No, thank you. That seasoned chicken, I'm good. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. This has gotten weird. Let's continue.
Yeah, it's gone to a movie. I'm trying. All right, so Macy. The elders were not aware of Macy's birth, and that's gonna have to come back eventually. That's gonna be a thing. Charity was there when Charity put the curse on Marisol to make her forget her pain. And what an interesting power that is. What an interesting spell that is. And it sucks. It's so it's upsetting, but it also shows Macy that her mother really loved her. And now I can't wait to find out why she got rid of her. Because to me it makes me feel like Macy's really powerful, more so than the elders want her to be. Because if the elders knew, I bet they would have taken Macy away. Because they didn't take the other two girls away because she probably isn't as powerful.
No, you're really right. Because the whole thing is that the power becomes activated when the three come together. So just keep two together and keep the one out. That's how it works.
Well, there's that, but I also think maybe Macy, because of her parentage, whoever her dad is, they might have been against it. She might have been able to get kicked out of being an elder. I think there was more than just the power of three that had something to do with Macy.
If we were watching Winona Earp, but it was Charmed, Gavin would be Macy's father.
Oh. But we're not, thank God. Oh lordy.
And I would be here for that.
Speaking of Gavin, you actually brought him up, which is thank you for that. How long is Gavin going to stick around? Poor Gavin. I think he's trying to make a valiant effort to court her, and she has to keep going away and doing these witch things, and he's like, okay, sure, he's understanding, but how long is that going to last? Because she hasn't besides kissing him, great. That was the one indication that she's into him, but every other time she never is around him. So I kind of feel bad, and I wonder if that's going to come back.
I'm even starting to feel brushed off. I'm not even Gavin, but every time, man, she's like, I'm sorry, my sisters need me. I'm like,
go. Bitch, you just met those hoes. What are you doing?
That was Cole Gavin. I would have zero confidence after all of that brushing off. I wouldn't even talk to her. I wouldn't even make eye contact.
And also, Gavin has really, nice sweat. He's not aggressive. He's just like, oh, hey, if you'd like to go out, that'd be great. Just very, very honest and, pure as she should have. And it's just, brushed off left and right. And I feel very bad.
It's just not getting off to a good start, period.
Yeah. No.
All three of these sisters are just, their love lives are a mess. Just going on.
Hot mess.
Yes.
Let's go on to our white lighter, Harry. I love the fact that he's a little bit whipped for Charity. I'm here for that. To see him kind of subservient to a female.
I'm with it to an extent, but I'm already in my brain shipping Charity with Marisol. Hashtag which.
It was incorrigible, I swear. Lord.
I'm sorry. You don't ship it? Did you not have that thought?
No, I just don't ship it.
Well, you clearly haven't seen the
ship...
flashback, because that was love. Go on.
Okay. I actually ship her and Harry. I think it's funny. But
I'm fine with that. I like Witch lighter, but Witch is much more catchy.
Well, obviously. Sorry, that's hilarious. I like the fact that he finally takes the girl's sides. Like, he's like, oh, it opened up. Oh, there's more than I even know, and I'm privy to. And, he's like, you know what? Things gonna get done. Things gonna get done. She had the sight. She had discernment. I'm gonna trust your mom. I'm gonna trust her mom. And kind of went against somebody I'm sure he always is on her side, Charity's side. So the fact that he was like, nah, we should let them do this time was really cool. And I like the fact that they acknowledge
I feel like Harry, to me, is always read as asexual. And there's really no show with asexual representation. I feel like he has a chance to really fill in a whole empty scope of lack of representation with Harry being asexual. Just where I put him.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about Angela Wu for a bit. She's our villain.
The Harbinger.
Is she a villain? She's our... Yeah, the Harbinger of the villain. She's our victim. She's our victim villain. And I feel bad, but I'm glad that she's back. And I'm hoping that she doesn't go away. I'm kind of hoping that...
See, I'm the opposite. It felt very much so that I really enjoyed her the last 2 episodes, but it felt like her last kind of piece of dialogue with Mal just felt like very, I'm gonna go back to college now, thank you, like very stock. It could have been like any villain of the week returning to their world. And I mean, it'd be nice to see her color the world a little bit, but I'm thinking we see the last.
I don't think she'll be back in the magical sense. I think that she'll be back in the pedestrian sense, and I think she'll be back, like we said, filling out more of the school life. It's not just going to be the same 4 people. There should be references to Angela. How is she doing? What's going on? Did she get a job? Oh yeah, maybe she stops by ever so often. Even to have, I thought that in the old Charmed there was like 1 or 2 actual friends who knew about stuff but wasn't trying to be in the world, but in like a backup, like in case something happened, then they can ask Angela, if she knew, but I can't recall. So that's actually something I can ask you guys out there as we kind of mosey on to the end of this cast. What are some of your questions? So what about that question section, y'all? There's a lot of things that I want to ask and see what you guys have thoughts about. Make sure you guys hit us up on iTunes with your comments, or YouTube, or hit us up on the Twitter, because we want to know your thoughts and have this discussion. So first kind of question I have for you guys is, how will Mel deal with Charity's choice of cover-up? At the end of the day, Charity chose to make him a mass killer and then commit suicide, which is devastating. So I don't know. How do you think that's going to work out? Jen, do you have any questions?
When do you think Mel is going to have that serious conversation with Nico about the missing trip?
Can you say that?
I guess
faster?
I'm thinking, let me rephrase this. When do you think Nico will come to Mal regarding Tripp's suspicions during their investigation? Do you think Nico will accept what the answers were? Do you think Nico will accept the outcome, or do you think she'll start to dig?
Gotcha. I think, how long will this guilt last in Mel, ultimately? How long do you guys think she'll really be affecting herself and her sisters and everybody around her with it?
What is Maggie doing with her life, really?
What is Maggie doing with
Maggie,
her life?
how could you do Kappa Witch so wrong?
Do you guys think that all this stuff is going to have a huge impact on all the love interests, not just like, Nico? Because I feel like all of this, especially the next episode coming up, is going to have a huge effect. Like, she's trying to erase somebody she loves. Is that, show you not to go for love or to hide behind it?
It feels like, okay, let's go into some of the predictions, because this is where my comment lies.
All right, go ahead.
All right. It feels that Mel, love Nico has for Mel has been feeling a little one-sided to me. Like, I just feel like Nico loves Mel so much more than Mel. I feel like, for me, I predict that she will wipe Nico's mind and then later on realize what she's done and maybe start that power dynamic between the two of them will switch and Mel will start to pursue Nico again. So I would like to see that coming from them. That's my prediction.
Nice. Yeah, I think that this is going to backfire. I think the idea of Nico's memory being wiped, I think she's going to end up being told that they're witches. I think that it's going to be unprecedented. They keep saying everything's unprecedented. We've never had this happen, or you guys are different, or whatever. So I feel like that might be a thing. I think that we're going to find out that the Harbinger is that getting stolen in the elevator, that, how Charity got robbed, if you will. It's an inside job. I think that there are going to be some elders that are actually against everybody, and that they're going to end up having to fight the higher ups. And I think that Charity's going to end up being fully on the witch's side and kind of taking off her corporate pencil skirt and high heels and really getting to some jeans and flats. You know what I'm saying?
I think that Maggie's new beau love interest is a plant. I think he's like a red herring.
Yeah.
He's evil.
I think so too.
And I hope that Maggie and Lucy can come together and be friends still after this betrayal.
I think it might make them the closest. You know what I'm saying? They might be actual best friends. She might have a best friend other than
her sisters.
Her sisters, yeah.
That's
I think
kind of sad to say, but yeah, okay, I'm here for that.
No, well, I mean, it'd be fun. Like, yeah, I mean, you have your family, but like, she's in college, and do we see her hanging out with any other girls? Nah.
I have a question for you.
What?
Do you think that Gavin is ever gonna have that date with Macy?
Who knows at this point? Poor guy. Well, they might have 18 dates, and then she always has to leave in the middle of them. We just don't know. So, Jen, what is your scoring of this episode?
6.5.
Nice. Yeah, I gave it a solid 7. I really enjoyed it. I thought there were some really good gems in there. Good Angela Wu. I love the effects of the whole spinning in the wind and being on that kind of float situation. I thought that was really cool. So, yeah, and I don't know why, but Trip's death with the pole, it really did remind me of the old school.
I feel like the CGI on the show just looks better than anything in the Arrowverse. That's just my thought.
Yep. And on Supergirl, they have they have to have a bigger budget.
Yeah.
It just looks better. Absolutely. But all right, guys, make sure you find us on all of our social media accounts, and I would love to hear what you guys want to answer any of these questions. And so make sure you guys hit us up for this next week coming up, or tomorrow, I guess you can say, coming up, and we can't wait to talk to you guys again. So see you later. Thanks for listening. And if you want to take us on the go, we are now available on iTunes, Spotify, Player FM, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, Listen Notes, and Podbeam. We even have some fun stuff going on over at YouTube. And if you feel like sliding on through, head over to Twitter at whatabout_dat. Hope to see you soon.